All right, let's dive into the world of birds, specifically their health.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, you want to know more about coccidiosis,
Yeah.
right? You even gave us some great material in Arabic to work from,
Mm,
and we got it all translated and everything, so we are ready to go.
wonderful.
This deep dive it's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
It's going to take us into parasite life cycles and animal health,
Right.
and we might even find some parallels to human health,
Interesting.
which I always find cool.
Yeah, it's funny because coccidiosis might seem like just a bird problem,
Yeah.
but it really shows us stuff about parasitology and how diseases spread.
Right.
That applies to all kinds of species, even us.
It really does show how connected we all are.
Yeah.
So, coccidiosis,
Yeah.
what is it?
So imagine a teeny tiny parasite
Okay.
called Eimeria
Eimeria.
that gets into a bird's intestines or their liver
Oh, no.
and basically wreaks havoc.
So it's a microscopic troublemaker.
Exactly.
How does it spread?
Well, Eimeria spreads through these things called oocysts.
Oocysts.
They're kind of like parasite eggs,
Okay.
and they're shed in the droppings of infected birds.
Ah,
And they get into food, water,
right.
even just the environment.
Just waiting around.
Exactly, waiting for a bird to accidentally eat or drink them.
So just a little bit of contaminated food or water is all it takes.
Yeah, that's why hygiene is so important,
Okay.
especially when birds are all living close together.
It's like us trying not to get sick in a crowded room.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, what are the signs that a bird has coccidiosis?
So there are some telltale signs you can look out for.
Okay.
One of the most obvious ones is watery diarrhea.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, sometimes it can even be greenish or bloody.
That's not good.
No, not good at all.
So what else? What else should we watch for?
You'll often see the bird become lethargic,
Okay.
lose their appetite,
All right.
and their feathers might look all puffed up.
So they just look sick?
Yeah, basically. You might also notice weight loss or stunted growth.
Especially in the young ones, that would be concerning.
Yeah, definitely concerning.
So it's really important to pay attention to their behavior and how they look.
Yes, early detection is key.
So if we see any of these signs,
Yeah.
what should we do?
You need to go to a vet.
Okay.
A vet can look at the bird's droppings under a microscope
Okay.
and look for those oocysts,
Makes sense.
and then they'll figure out what to do.
All right, so the vet's our go-to for diagnosis. But say coccidiosis is diagnosed.
Right.
How do we fight it? What are our options?
Well, we can think of it as a team effort,
Okay.
and our first line of defense is medication.
Okay.
These drugs are called anti-coccidials,
Okay.
and they're made to target and get rid of that Eimeria.
Okay.
Some common ones are Amprolium, sulfadimethoxine.
Big words.
They are.
And Toltrazuril.
Okay, so we have these anticoccidials, but there's got to be more to treatment than just giving them these drugs, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
While anticoccidials are important, they're not a magic bullet.
Okay.
And you should always use them with a vet's guidance.
Makes sense.
Dosage is really important,
Eh.
and it depends on the bird's weight and which medication you're using.
Okay.
Because if you overuse these drugs, it can actually lead to resistant parasites.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Yeah, so responsible medication use is important.
Exactly.
So what else can we do to support our birds during treatment?
Well, along with medication, good supportive care is crucial.
Okay.
Make sure the bird stays hydrated, especially if they have diarrhea.
Right.
Electrolyte solutions can be really helpful for that.
Okay.
And just like we take vitamins to boost our immune system,
Right.
birds can benefit from supplements like vitamins A, K, and B complex.
Oh, that's interesting.
It helps their bodies fight off the infection.
So we're giving them that extra support.
Exactly.
What about stopping the infection from spreading to other birds?
Isolation is key.
Okay.
Think of it as like a mini quarantine.
To stop those oocysts from spreading.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have medication, supportive care, and isolation. What else can we do?
Well, remember those oocysts we talked about?
Yeah, those resilient little things.
Yeah, they can stick around in the environment.
Right.
So we need to make the environment hostile to them.
Okay, how do we do that?
We need to disinfect cages and tools thoroughly
Right.
using things that kill those oocysts.
Like what?
Things like concentrated ammonia
Okay.
or Vercanas.
All right, so it's like a deep clean on a microscopic level.
Exactly.
I can just imagine those disinfectants wiping out those oocysts.
Yeah.
So we're creating a clean environment.
Mhm.
But is there anything else we can do to directly target those oocysts?
Absolutely.
What is it?
We need to cut off their lifeline. Moisture.
Oh, interesting.
They thrive in damp environments.
Okay.
So every day, You need to remove droppings and make sure things dry completely.
That makes sense.
You can also use materials that drain well,
Okay.
like slanted or mesh flooring.
To prevent those droppings from building up.
Yeah, and creating those damp conditions that oocysts love.
So we're talking about a multi-pronged approach.
Mm-hmm.
Medications, supportive care, a clean and dry environment, and isolation.
Exactly.
It sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
But it's all worth it to keep our birds healthy, right?
Absolutely. But what if we could stop these outbreaks from happening in the first place?
Prevention is always the best medicine.
Exactly.
I'm all ears. What can we do?
Well, let's think about the environment again.
Okay.
Those oocysts love moisture.
Right.
So keeping things dry is really important.
Along with everything else we've talked about, like cleaning and making sure things can drain.
Yeah, and remember, fresh air is just as important for birds as it is for us.
So dry, well-ventilated environment.
Exactly.
Good foundation.
Yes.
What about cleaning?
Regular cleaning and disinfection are key. Remember those oocyst-killing champions we talked about?
Yeah.
Those are your best friends when it comes to disinfecting cages, feeders, waterers, anything that the birds touch.
Like we're at war with these microscopic invaders.
You could say that.
Are there any other strategies for preventing coccidiosis?
Absolutely. We have things like vaccination,
Okay.
dietary considerations,
That's right.
and some natural remedies.
Oh, interesting.
But we can talk about those more in a bit.
All right. Sounds good to me. I'm ready to dive deeper into prevention.
Great. Let's talk about vaccination. It's
Oh,
not always necessary
right.
or even the right choice for every situation,
Okay.
but it can be really useful,
Yeah.
especially if a flock has had coccidiosis outbreaks before.
So it's like giving their immune systems a head start.
Exactly.
Okay. How does it work?
Vaccination basically exposes the birds to a weakened version of the parasite
Okay.
or an inactive version.
Right.
And that lets their immune system build up defenses without actually getting them sick.
So it's like a practice run for their immune system.
Yeah, exactly. Like a training exercise.
That makes sense.
So if they run into the real thing later,
Yeah.
they're ready to fight it off.
So it's like training them to be coccidiosis fighting ninjas.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
But you mentioned it's not always necessary.
Right.
So when would you recommend it?
It's best to talk to a vet about that.
Okay.
They can figure out the risks for your specific birds.
Okay.
Things like their age, their overall health, other diseases, and if the flock has had coccidiosis before.
So the vet can help us weigh the pros and cons.
Exactly.
Okay. What about those natural remedies you mentioned?
So some people have good results using natural remedies
Yeah.
as a way to support traditional treatments.
Right.
But it's really important to remember they shouldn't replace going to the vet.
Okay.
These remedies can help make the environment less friendly to the parasites,
Okay.
and they can boost the bird's overall health, but they're not a substitute for real treatment.
Okay. So they're like supporting actors.
Yeah, a good way to put it.
Not the lead role.
Right.
What are some examples?
Well, apple cider vinegar is a popular one.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
You add a tablespoon per liter of water,
Okay.
and it makes the bird's gut more acidic,
Interesting.
which Eimeria doesn't like.
So we're making their gut less appealing.
Exactly.
I like that.
Another option is garlic.
Garlic, really?
Yeah, it has natural anti-parasitic properties.
Didn't know that.
You can add a little bit to their feed.
Interesting. Okay.
What about herbs?
Yeah. Are there any herbs that can help?
Some herbs, like thyme and oregano,
Okay.
have antimicrobial properties,
Okay.
so you can give them to your birds in moderation.
As part of a balanced diet.
Right. It can make their gut healthier overall.
So a little apple cider vinegar in their water, a sprinkle of garlic in their feed,
Yeah.
and maybe some herbs.
Exactly.
But always check with a vet first, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Birds can be sensitive to certain things.
Right.
And what's okay for one bird
Yeah.
might not be good for another.
That makes sense.
And a vet can make sure these natural remedies won't mess with any other medications the bird is taking.
Good advice.
It's always better to be safe than sorry,
Yeah, for sure.
especially with our feathered friends.
So we've talked about a lot of prevention strategies, from managing the environment to vaccination to
Yeah.
natural remedies. But before we move on, I'm curious about something.
Okay.
You said earlier that there are different types of Eimeria.
I did.
Does that change how we prevent or treat it?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Good. Yes, there are actually several species of Eimeria
Okay.
that can infect birds,
Right.
and they each have their favorite spot in the bird's body.
Oh, interesting.
Some like the intestines,
Okay.
others prefer the liver. or other organs.
So it's not just one kind of parasite?
Yeah.
We're dealing with a whole family of Eimeria troublemakers.
Exactly.
That's wild.
And that's why getting the right diagnosis is so important.
Okay.
Because different Eimeria species might respond differently to certain medications.
That makes sense.
And the disease can be more or less serious depending on which species is involved.
So if we think a bird has coccidiosis, we need to get a proper diagnosis from a vet.
Yes, absolutely.
To make sure we're using the right treatment.
Exactly.
You mentioned that these parasites spread through oocysts in droppings.
Right.
But how do those oocysts get there in the first place?
Oh, good question.
What's the life cycle of Eimeria like?
It's actually a fascinating journey.
Okay, I'm ready.
It all starts when an infected bird sheds oocysts in their droppings.
Okay.
These oocysts are like tiny time capsules.
Okay.
They're super tough.
Yeah.
And they can survive in the environment for a long time.
Just waiting.
Exactly. Just waiting for their chance to infect a new bird.
So they're just lurking out there, ready to strike.
Yep.
What happens next?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Before they can infect a bird,
Yeah.
the oocysts have to go through something called sporulation.
Sporulation.
It's like they need to be activated.
Okay.
They need the right conditions to become infectious.
What kind of conditions?
Think Goldilocks.
Okay.
Not too hot.
Right.
Not too cold.
Just right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Temperature and humidity are really important.
Interesting.
They need a specific range to sporulate properly.
So they need the right environmental cues to become those microscopic villains.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Once they've sporulated,
Yeah.
they're ready to infect a new bird.
Okay.
They can contaminate food or water,
Right.
or even just hang out in the soil or bedding.
Waiting for an unsuspecting bird.
Yeah. And it doesn't take many oocysts to cause an infection.
Wow, so just a few can start the whole cycle over again?
Exactly.
It's amazing how these tiny organisms have such a complex life cycle.
It is fascinating.
It really shows how important hygiene and environmental management are.
Absolutely.
To break that cycle.
Every little thing we do to create a clean, dry environment makes it harder for those oocysts to survive.
And helps protect birds from coccidiosis.
Exactly.
Speaking of protecting birds, we've talked about vaccination and natural remedies, but what about diet?
Oh, diet is crucial.
Okay, how so?
Well, a bird's diet affects their overall health.
Right.
And how well their immune system works.
It's like us. We feel better when we eat healthy.
Exactly.
So what should we be feeding them to keep them healthy and strong?
A good mix of things.
Okay.
Seeds, grains, fruits, vegetables.
Okay, a balanced diet.
Right. And sometimes a bit of protein.
From like insects.
Yeah, insects, cooked eggs.
Okay.
But we also need to think about specific nutrients.
That are important for their immune system.
Exactly.
What?
Well, vitamin A is really important for immune health.
How so?
It helps keep the digestive tract healthy.
Which is where coccidiosis happens.
Exactly. So boosting vitamin A can help them fight off those Eimeria parasites.
So where can we get vitamin A for birds?
Leafy green vegetables.
Like spinach.
Spinach, kale. Yeah.
Okay.
Also orange and yellow fruits and veggies.
Like carrots and sweet potatoes.
Exactly.
It's like giving them a little immune-boosting salad.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Are there other important nutrients?
Vitamin E is another good one.
Okay.
It's an antioxidant that helps protect cells from damage.
Okay, where can we find that?
Nuts and seeds.
Like almonds and sunflower seeds?
Yep.
Okay.
And don't forget the B vitamins.
Oh, right. The B vitamins.
They help with energy production and a healthy metabolism.
Right.
Which are both important for a strong immune response.
So vitamin A, vitamin E, and the B vitamins are all key players.
Exactly.
Any other dietary tips?
One important thing is to avoid sudden changes in their diet.
Okay.
Because that can stress their digestive system.
Oh, that makes sense.
And potentially make them more vulnerable to infections.
So no sudden switches to an all-kale diet?
Right. Gradual transitions are key.
Okay, gradual transitions.
And just like we need to stay hydrated.
Right.
Birds need access to clean water all the time.
Fresh water.
Yep, especially if they have diarrhea.
To help flush everything out.
Exactly. Water helps their systems run smoothly.
It sounds like we've covered everything about preventing and managing coccidiosis in birds.
We've covered a lot.
Any final words of wisdom? It sounds like we've really got a good plan to keep those Eimeria parasites away from the environment to their immune system with diet, even vaccination.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it really shows we can't just focus on one thing.
Right.
We need to look at the whole picture.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
All the pieces matter.
And speaking of puzzles,
Yeah.
I always love the evolutionary side of things.
Me too.
You mentioned that coccidiosis has been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Ages.
Right.
Millions of years, actually.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
Coccidiosis has co-evolved with birds.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is.
That's a long time to be battling it out.
Right.
What can we learn from that, from this long relationship between coccidiosis and birds?
Well, I think it shows us how resilient both the parasite and the host are.
Okay.
Coccidiosis can be really dangerous.
Especially for young birds or birds with weak immune systems.
Exactly.
But birds have survived alongside this parasite for so long.
Yeah.
That shows how well they can adapt.
It's like a constant arms race.
Between the parasite and the bird's immune system.
Exactly. The parasite keeps evolving new ways to infect birds.
Right.
And survive.
And the bird's immune system has to evolve too.
Yeah.
To keep fighting it off.
It's this delicate balance.
Yeah.
This push and pull.
Right.
That has shaped both species over millions of years.
It's incredible.
It is.
It really highlights how connected all living things are.
Yeah.
Even a tiny parasite can have a big impact.
It really can.
On the evolution of its host.
We're all part of this huge web of life.
Yeah.
And the more we understand those connections,
right,
the more we understand the world around us.
This has been so interesting.
I agree.
We've learned so much about coccidiosis.
We have.
From its life cycle to how to prevent and treat it.
It's been a pleasure talking about it with you.
Likewise. And to our listener,
yeah,
we hope you feel ready to keep your birds healthy.
Informed and empowered.
Knowing a little can go a long way.
It really can.
In preventing this disease.
Keep learning about birds.
They're fascinating.
Yeah. Stay curious.
Until next time, happy birding.